China releases videos revealing how they really feel about Americans. Now, given the choice between being hated by someone and being belittled or demeaned, I would actually rather be hated. At least there's a passion there. At least we're not being dismissed or disregarded or belittled. But when it comes to the Chinese Communist Party and their indoctrinated people, many of whom are brainwashed, of course, when it comes to them, they don't necessarily hate us. They just think very little of us. And they revealed that very recently, following the tariffs that have been now imposed upon China, these massive tariffs, 104%. Well, they're lashing out in many ways, and I'll explain the other ways they're lashing out. But one way that they're lashing out is with this propaganda campaign utilizing AI-generated videos to apparently try to make us feel bad about ourselves. Well, wasn't that special? Look, let's be crystal clear about three things. Number one, nothing happens in China without the direct approval or even the commission of the Chinese Communist Party. This isn't some random kid in some basement in China making these AI videos and putting them out there. This is part of the plan. Number two, we are not the audience for this. Yes, they want us to see it. They want to make fun of us. But what they're really trying to do is to persuade their own people that, hey, America's going to back down. Americans are fat. Americans are lazy. Americans can't do the work that you all do. So don't worry. We're going to fight this and we're going to win. That's the message. You might get to see it. It might insult you. It might even maybe concern some Americans. But in reality, the target audience for those videos are the Chinese people to try to get them prepared for the carnage that comes, which brings us to number three. There is carnage coming. China is against the ropes. They are on the verge of economic collapse. I don't know if Americans realize just how close they are to succumbing to their own failures, as well as the pressure that's being put on them by President Trump's administration through these tariffs and through other means. China is against the ropes. President Trump is holding all of the cards. Why? Because of, as I noted yesterday, they export to us far, far more than we export to them. And it's not just because they're able to produce products more inexpensively. They're able to produce cheaper products, yes. But it's also because of, and this doesn't just address China, this addresses pretty much the rest of the world. It comes down to market access. Look, we talk about it all the time. We say, oh, there's going to be the benefits to Treasury because we're going to generate a bunch of revenue and we're going to bring the companies back. Companies are going to come here. They're going to open up shop here. They're going to bring in American jobs. Those are all very important talking points. Those are all very, very good economic strategies by President Trump. But the one that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, basically because it's kind of a challenging talking point to disseminate, is that market access is the real end game here. What we really want is the ability for American companies, American corporations, Americans in general, to be able to sell our products and services abroad, to be able to go to China, which is now a consumer nation, not just a producing nation like before, but they are a full-blown consumer nation. We want them to be able to buy our stuff. And that's something that is going to have, I would say, a far bigger economic impact than the aforementioned additional revenues for Treasury or even bringing back American jobs. It is about market access. Let's look at what Breitbart was saying about those particular AI videos. This comes from David Boyce, or Paul Boyce, David Boyce. Oops. This comes from Paul Boyce over at Breitbart. China creates AI video mocking American workers after Trump tariffs. And they said AI video as if it's singular. I've seen on TikTok alone, I've seen several of them being disseminated out there right now. China responded to President Donald Trump's tariff threats by creating AI videos showing fat Americans working in warehouses. The videos featuring chubby Americans toiling away in factories went viral on social media, a way to mock the Trump administration's aim of returning manufacturing jobs back to American soil. And we already played it. The videos came after China vowed to fight to the end in response to President Donald Trump's threatening to impose a 50% duty on imports if Beijing does not withdraw the retaliatory 34% tariffs it imposed on American products last week. China's Commerce Minister said in a statement that it resolutely opposes the president's escalating threat of tariffs and will not back down. Gosh, I hope he's wrong. The U.S., and this is a quote from a CNBC translation, the U.S. threat to escalate tariffs on China is a mistake on top of a mistake. China will never accept it. If the U.S. insists on its own way, China will fight to the end. Well, that end may be coming sooner rather than later for them because they will not be able to survive this. They cannot survive as an economy if they have these tremendous tariffs imposed against them. They rely on the United States economy. And if those economic doors are shut, which they are officially as of right now, they are basically shut, they will not be able to survive. We're not talking about years here. We're talking at the most months before collapse. I would say it's more likely weeks. And depending on what, we don't know a whole lot about their economy, but what we do know, it is possible that they could start to show signs of collapse in a matter of days. It is important that Americans understand this. It's important that we support President Trump and his efforts. Because will this result in higher prices in the short term for Americans? Yes. Yes, it will. Will it result in far greater economic prosperity for the entirety of the nation in the not so long term? We're not talking about decades down the line. We're talking about future years and even future months. Will this benefit Americans in the mid and long term? Absolutely. Protect your retirement, your life's savings with physical precious metals through an America First company. Go to jdrgold.com to learn more. jdrgold.com.